Hey! Gotta roll it in style, baby. Andy, back for another podcast, baby.
What?
I said we're back for another podcast.
Are we live?
Yes, we are live.
Where's the chat?
We're doing it
I haven't
live.
even signed into chat.
Why am I signed out for chat?
Why are you signed out of everything? Are you sure we're live?
Yes. Yeah, we should be.
I don't know. Audio stream's current bit rate. No, we are live. Well, shit.
Oh, I don't want to listen.
You need to sign into chat.
I don't think
You gotta click it. You gotta click it.
I don't think I do.
If you don't click it, we can't interact with the zero. Why does it say sign into chat? Oh, so you can send messages.
Yeah.
And we don't have a keyboard because, well, why would you get a wireless keyboard? That would make too much sense.
Ew.
I need to get
Wireless.
batteries.
For
Do you have
what?
batteries? Do you have double A's?
Yeah, for what?
Can I borrow two double A's?
Yeah, why? For what?
For my keyboard.
That's why I don't have wireless keyboard.
It's dying on me as I'm like typing and it'll like
It's
stop
missing
typing. And
keys.
it's like I'll be trying to say like the dog is blue and it'll be like fuck you. I'm like the dog for what? For what? For what? For what? For what? For what? For what?
We've got kind of a laid back episode for today. We've got the Game Informer finally calling finally calling it quits.
What?
Yeah, Game Informer is now done officially.
Dude, like they couldn't even keep the website going?
Well, I guess technically IGN is like what Game Informer was through, and now like they stopped because once they went digital, it was just kind of like, meh.
I'm surprised that print newspapers are still a thing. I mean, like,
That's kind of surprising too.
isn't YDR owned by USA Today now?
You are asking the wrong person.
I don't know.
I don't go to the store and get a newspaper every day. I used to read it in school, like a lot. I used to read the newspaper in school a lot.
So did I. No, I think USA Today owns like YDR, the Dispatch, and like one of the other York paper that I can never remember.
The Evening Sun.
Yeah, the Evening Sun.
We're gonna keep the console ratings going with the N64.
Oh, baby.
We're going to talk about how the gaming industry has lost its creativity and why are sitcoms not entertaining anymore.
I think it depends on the sitcom, but I mean,
well, once we get there, we'll talk about like the ones that were just like untouchable.
Well, so like, well, yeah.
So with Game Informer, I forgot to type in the information, so I'm going to have it here on my phone. I did not know that they debuted in 1991.
Yeah, dude, I got my first Game Informer when I was 5.
I did not know that they were that old. Because I didn't
What
start...
the hell you mean that old?
Like, I mean...
Wait, weren't you born before 91 too, you son of a bitch?
Yeah, one single year.
That's still older, like,
So, it was through the video game retailer FuncoLand, which I don't know FuncoLand. Like, we didn't have FuncoLands near us, did we?
No. They're the one. Is that the same company that did Funko Pops?
No. No.
Are you sure?
I don't think so.
It might be a subsidiary or something.
I don't think so.
I know who can find out.
So they started publishing an in-house newsletter, and then it got acquired by GameStop, which bought Funkoland in 2000. Due to this, a large amount of promotion was done in-store, which contributed to the success of the magazine. Because I remember every time I would go to GameStop, it would be like, do you want to sign up for Game Informer for blah, blah, blah a month? And I'm like, no. But then I finally did, because then it came with the GameStop subscription. You got free Game Informer if you became like a premium or a pro member
it was
at GameStop.
Part of their membership program with the discount.
To which I then would get them, and I looked forward to getting them because that was how I found out about, games and news and what was coming and the first looks and everything and all that. Like, I miss those times where it was like, that's how you found out about stuff. Not just like a game gets announced, you watch a trailer, and then everybody's saying about how dog shit it is immediately without anything else.
Dude, I guarantee you, I have a Game Informer. I promise you it's in my storage. I know for a fact it's probably there. From 1995.
Really?
Yeah. I can almost promise you it's sitting there. I don't know which bin it's in, but I know for a fact it's not gone yet.
That would be sweet to look through. I would really enjoy that.
You can look through it if you want. You got to wear gloves. At this point, that's like an ancient artifact. So.
We're going to put it in our museum. Got a little tickle in my throat. So, I guess they came out with like 10 of them per year. And the final issue is going to be July 2024. And it's issue 368 will be the final issue number. So
you guys have to do an August issue just so you can end on 369. Come on, how lit would that be?
Or at least like make it an even it is an even number, but like round it out to like 370 or like 400.
Or take it to Christmas. I mean, like, I don't know. Yeah, at least make it special. Don't just be like, well, we made it to July 24.
Yeah, so like when I stopped going to GameStop because like it just kind of became a joke for quite a little while as they like rolled in all like the nonsense knickknacks and T-shirts and toys that are just like the worst products, and like their gaming section went down. Like it just it was just terrible. And then the pro membership stuff, I think they changed it a couple of times, and it became just not desirable. And there was a stretch where like I just didn't want to go into a GameStop because I just knew it was going to be just trash. So, I think when it went digital is kind of like, no, who wants to read a digital magazine? I can just look on news sites at that point.
So that's a format thing. That's really, honestly, like whoever's managing that product over at IGN or whoever owns it, that's the point where you say to yourself, okay, I have this publication. Who are my core audience? What do my core audience like? What do they use most frequently? Mm-hmm. If you decide to put your frickin' publication into a PDF viewer where it's actually paginated, you're a frickin' moron. For gamers.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, like just something about like even reading like a manual on the even like reading it on the internet if I'm looking something up or something, it hurts. It just hurts. Like I want to have like the thing in front of me and I want to page through and look, because if I'm scrolling, I can just scroll down as far as I want to go and see what I need to see and then just I'm done. And with things like YouTube, like I don't need to look up anything in a Game Informer because I can just go on YouTube and someone's going to be talking about it.
Well, yeah, but you're not going to be able to read that. That's the thing with the publications is that person was hired to write that.
Yeah.
They're getting compensated. That's literally their job. So they have meaningful stake in it. Like they have motivation to actually give a shit about what they're saying.
Yeah.
And make sure that it's right versus any everybody that goes on YouTube is like, you could argue monetization of YouTube. Okay, that's kind of like a commission. They're not already. When you're hired to write something, you're guaranteed a check, and that your ass is grass if you don't do well. On YouTube, it's like, what's the worst that happens if you fail? You don't make any money? You didn't have it to begin with.
Yeah, that's very true. So here's a question too. Like with GameStop, buying or acquiring the whole Game Informer thing in like 2000. If they were switching to digital, like think about what Game Informer was and Game Informer is. Like they had little tidbits from like developers. They had little like a little art section for like fan art. They had like little segments of like the top 10 video game villains or top 10 like game levels of all time, or they had the special issues where they did like top 100 games of all time or top 20 Nintendo games of all time, or just random stuff that they did. What if if they went instead of doing Game Informer as a digital magazine, what if instead they would have done it as a show where they would have like somebody, like a host, like sitting at like kind of like a news desk ish type of look, and they just had like a show where they covered the topics of whatever the Game Informer issue would be covering, and just made it like a more frequent like game news, like almost like a podcast where whatever you're covering in the Game Informer, they just covered in a podcast / like news format. And then they could have after everything is done from said Game Informer, they could have run like a as of today with the issue of Game Informer, here are the events and sales and stuff coming up for our GameStop stores.
Yeah.
That would have been genius.
Here's the thing. Context of time, I believe it was year 2000. So the means for doing that in an online format like we do today aren't necessarily there.
Yeah.
So that makes it a lot more complicated to like bring that idea to life. I think you could. But more importantly, I think that this is all just a really big like spotlight on GameStop's seemingly never-ending ability to not understand their consumers. Because in 2000, when they bought that, the first thing that they should have done was say, okay, paper publication, cool. Let's make it a website. Because at that point, when you make it a website, you can still sell advertising. You can make money off advertising. In fact, you can sell a lot more advertising on a dynamic website than you can on a printed piece of paper. And we wouldn't even be having this conversation, because then eventually they would have phased out the paper copy many, many years ago, once the website was making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
And probably expanded into a YouTube channel where they had a news desk style reporting.
Yeah.
That
and then you could sell sponsorships at that point. Like somebody could sponsor, the news show or whatever, and then you're making even more on top of that. Like that would have helped GameStop in the long run, really, of just like keeping them relevant in terms of like gaming, and they would have stayed connected, because you now not only do you have like this news show, but then you have a audience that these hosts are able to engage with,
exactly,
and see what they're saying, see what they want, and then relay that to a representative of the company and be like, look, we've done this show for so long, or however long we've been doing it, and I see a lot of people really begging for retro stuff back at GameStop. Like, maybe you guys should look into that. I mean, I know that GameStops are like getting back into like retro, but I think it's too little, too late at this point.
I mean, well, GameStop in general is too little, too late at this point. Like, it's that guy that shows up with a case of beer at the party, except he gets there at 5 a.m. after everybody's already passed out.
That was the perfect analogy.
It's too true. I mean, like I said, it maybe probably is on a website. I haven't looked for a Game Informer website or anything like it. I know IGN has a very extensive website, but I think a dedicated Game Informer website would have been good.
Or even like a Game Informer app. Like IGN has an app, but the IGN app makes me rage uncontrollably because like the ads will just pop up when I'm scrolling, and then it loses my spot, and it's the most frustrating thing.
So that's because the app isn't truly an app. It's basically just like
mobile
a frame.
version of the desktop site or mobile version of the site. But
even if it's a downloaded site, they have to get their content from a server. And if you don't manage that well, you're basically building another web browser, except it's dedicated to your site. And then you try to, inject content where you can. So it's like, oh, look, it's Nintendo. It's just clunky. And that was the other thing I wanted to say about who do you think the top advertisers would be for Game Informer?
Probably a lot of video game.
Maybe Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony. Those three companies don't have any money. And then they don't have any money. Their advertising budget is like my daughter's allowance. Well, they do like $25 a week.
Yeah, like if you're doing like this live Game Informer show and you're talking about upcoming games, Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, like all of these people and developers are going to be like, hey, we will sponsor you to talk about this more in depth, and we'll send you these press kits that you can play on air, and you can show them what the gameplay like. You wouldn't even have to have the the events that they have like these massive announcements on, because that would then become what those are.
Well, yeah, I mean, like
it would just become this massive thing.
What if, let's say,
at some point,
hypothetically, all this happens the way that we're talking about. Game Informer gets, partners up with Epic Games, and they're like, oh, let's do this bit on the show and on the website where it's like Jonesy's Corner from Fortnite, where we can do like this blog. And
is that a character from Fortnite?
He's like the Hallmark guy. he's the token Fortnite guy. But it's like you can literally intertwine the games with the content at that point, in that way. And
like to branch off of what you just said about like having like the Jonesy's Corner or whatever, like you could have Apex or Call of Duty, like these live service games that are like huge, like hugely popular. They could have their own little things like, oh, by the way, here's what's new in the Call of Duty game realm now. Like, we just announced that we're doing these operator skins. They come out this day and they're going to cost this much, blah blah blah. Like, you could do there's so much potential for all of that, especially with a company as big as GameStop and how massive Game Informer was.
Well, and like with that, how perfect would that be if that was like, the news desk doing an announcement or something, and then it like cut to outside the studio and Soap and McTavish were there like actors and they stormed the studio and they're like, oh wait, all right, exfil.
Like the possibility for what they could have done there are endless, especially for like game announcements and stuff like that. Like, you could have done some really awesome things there with if they would have gone that route. I mean, it's very likely that they're probably going to try and do something else. Like, they're just discontinuing like the magazine portion.
You'll never
Game
see
Informer.
that again. Never see that magazine again. You might see like that name or the content.
I think if I had to guess, they might try and like have like just like a news overall thing if they continue to go into that direction, or they're just going to scrap it all together and
there
just
will be
forget
no
about
print ever again for that.
No, I don't think they would ever print anything.
I mean, they
no.
might try to go web with it now. Maybe
But
after they hear us going off about it, but
yeah, when GameStop, when you hear this, give me a call.
here's an idea.
I got some ideas.
Here's an idea. If you're going to give your money to somebody for a product, give your money to a smart person, not somebody like GameStop. Go on Amazon.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Jeff.
I mean,
That's a long way to come. Just on, this online bookstore in what is 98? I'm going to start dude, HTML, it was like, I remember being 9 trying to learn HTML, and I'm like, what is this shit? At 9, and, I mean, I don't know if I ever truly got it, but it was simple. Like, so to do a bookstore, that's...
I mean, yeah, from what Amazon started at to what they are now, it's just
they can literally
ridiculous.
They can literally get you something you order online same day.
Yeah.
And
they do like free 2-day delivery and all that. Like that's
only for Prime members.
Well, yes, but still.
Which is like when I first started Prime, I think it was $60 a year.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's like $150 now.
Yeah. Dude, every subscription service is just getting so absurdly expensive, and it's just going to keep going up. They're just going to reach, like we talked about with Joe and Figsy when we were talking about like subscription prices and like Game Pass and stuff like that. Like they're going to push that envelope until they see this massive drop and be like, okay, under that number and everybody's fine. That's our ceiling.
That's literally what everything in the world is doing right now. Have you seen
yes.
like grapes? Grapes. I paid $15 for a bag of grapes.
I still don't understand how you...
It was 5 pounds of grapes at like $3 a pound.
Well, 5 pounds of grapes?
I don't know that it was... I mean, I didn't have a scale. I'm in giant here. Let me validate your fucking scale here on this register.
Why are you buying that many grapes?
Dude, she just grabbed them.
A lot of grapes.
She grabbed them. I was like... at that point, I had had enough. Until I found out they were $15.
Well, that's like... Dude, when we were down in Ocean City a few days ago... Dude, the prices to eat down there is ridiculous. We got breakfast the one morning at Bad Monkey. It was a $70 breakfast
For the two of you?
for 3.
Well, 2.5.
Yeah, that's including tip.
Yeah, that comes out. That's so $70. I assume you probably tip 10% because you're an asshole.
No, we tip. I think the bill was like $58, and then
that's a nice tip.
we gave them what, like $12.
Well, yeah,
tip?
that would be $12. So that'd be like 23%. Which I think is good if the service was good. But like $58 on the food, you know, if you figure.
Hey,
We'll cut that like 40, 20. So you divide it by 5. That's 12 for the kids' meal, and then 24 for each of yours for breakfast.
Not even close. Shouldn't even be close. Because the breakfast I got, it was just a basic breakfast. It was supposed to be 2 over medium eggs. They were over hard.
That would be why it was so expensive.
So it was 2 over medium
that markup.
eggs.
Do you know the price on labor for over medium eggs?
A piece of toast, potatoes, sausage, and 1 pancake. That was what I got, and she got an omelet. We both got coffee. She got an orange juice, and Lydia got a kid's a kid's pancake. There is no way that should be even remotely close to $58 goddamn dollars.
So let me ask you this. Did you go anywhere else for breakfast while you were down there?
Yeah, we had breakfast one other place, and that was Happy Jack's.
How much did it cost there?
Like $50.
Do you know what that tells me?
That it's expensive as shit to eat in Ocean City, Maryland?
Yeah, it's a tourist location in America, and we're a bunch of capitalists.
Dude, that place is a fucking shit show.
This is my point, though. Like I said, everything is testing the waters right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like food. Gas has always been like that. Gas is a Middle Eastern
It's
propagated
constantly
problem.
just
But
doing that.
well, it's not really doing that, but it's kind of doing like, oh, I'm up here. And then it's never going to come back down because they know we'll pay for it.
We don't have a choice.
Well,
unless everybody wants to start riding bikes, and we're all too fat for that.
so that's the thing. Like, do we have a choice? No. Ultimately, we're dependent on gas in the long run. Could we theoretically stage a boycott where people wouldn't buy gas for a week? I think you could make that get by. And I think if you interrupt the cash flow that bad for that period of time...
Yeah, but
they're gonna be
organizing
like,
enough people to be like, I need to stop my everyday life and stuff to not buy gas for a week. I can't do that. Do you know all the things that I have to do?
Dude, you're not going to...
I have to get little Jimmy to baseball practice.
Here, let me put it in context. When the Boston Tea Party happened, people gave a shit.
That was also a long time ago.
Right.
We're all spoiled shitless now, and we live in a world where everything's at the tip of our fingers.
Well, and like, so if Boston...
And we're spoiled with all of this stuff that we can just go do and get and buy. And
like, that only happened in Boston, and it was a big deal. If only Boston didn't buy gas for a week, that doesn't hit them hard enough.
All right, here's...
What are we doing?
We're going to do the Boston Tea Party, but instead it's going to be the Washington D.C. gas party, where everybody just brings their gas cans filled with gas and they just throw it as close as they can to some place in D.C. It's just tossing gas cans.
I mean, so I thought you were going a different direction with that, and I was about to get up and leave because I can't be affiliated with that. But
absolutely not. No.
Like, I mean, the EPA probably wouldn't appreciate that. But, like, if somebody planned that where, like, it was this symbolic thing where people would, like, buy 5 gallons of gas and just come dump it somewhere, if you got enough people that were, like, making pilgrimage to the nation's capital just to dump gas like that.
Bays and the fucking, the little fucking big water thing that they have there by the monument. Fuck is that? It's like the reflecting pool or something like that.
Dude, if people just started pouring gas in the reflecting pond, I think there'd be a problem. No, they should make like this special fixture that you could use, and then secretly underneath of it, it's like this 50,000 gallon tank, so that way they can just pump it out every night and resell it. Oh, capitalism.
But anyway,
I want a tea party.
Rest in peace to Game Informer. You were a key part of my childhood and teenage years of pretty much my prime gaming years, if I had to say.
Thanks for killing it, GameStop. I don't like them. I mean,
So, Andy, this is a tough one for me if I'm thinking about it.
What are we talking about?
Is the N64 good?
Yeah. Yeah?
I'm conflicted because I do believe that the N64 is fantastic, but then I look at like the grand scheme of the N64 and I'm like, eh?
It's one of those things again, man. Like, if you compare it to the overall picture, it's okay. It's not great. I have good memories. I don't think it would stack up to the standards of today's kids.
That's the thing. Like, I mean,
but in its time, whoa.
Well, if I were to say anything, I would say like the N64 is definitely a key product of his time, 110%.
Well, it was Nintendo's initial embodiment of C++ programming language, which was worlds better than assembly. So I'm trying to think of it like, oh snap,
oh shit, knock knock, motherfucker.
Knock knock.
I would say that if I were to like the controller, I think is a kind of a hindrance in like the newer generation picking up an N64 because the controller is just odd to hold, and it's not like any other controller for any of the consoles.
I would love to meet the person at Nintendo in 1995 who said, "Let's make it so someone with 3 hands can use it."
Like, it's comfortable if you're holding it from D-pad to buttons, but that's not how you hold it. You have to use the joystick.
Well, right.
It's like my hands are too close together at that point.
Well, not as a kid, but as an adult, yes. You know, it's harder. I did like how the controller introduced the trigger.
Yes, I will say that.
You know, that was a big thing because they had the shoulder buttons on the SNES, but
I'm going to be honest. I don't even know if I've really used the shoulder buttons.
Most games didn't utilize them. Most games didn't utilize them. But yeah, I mean, like if you had a game where you needed to use the D-pad and the joystick, it was like, duh.
You're doing like this weird shuffle.
There's C buttons and what? Right hand joystick. This doesn't work.
The C button for camera is the worst. The worst.
Well, and it's not always camera.
I know it's not always camera, but
like
it was it was the worst.
Ken Griffey Baseball. That's how you run the bases. You have any idea how many times I got pissed off because I hit the wrong yellow button? It's like, no, I didn't want to go to second. I wanted to go home. You took me back to second, and then I got tagged out, you son of a...
Dude, that's just a problem in all baseball games, is like, you have your runner coming around first, and you're like, yes, go to second, and then you realize that they're throwing it a little faster than you thought, and you're like, no, go back to first. No, go to second. No, go back to first. No, keep going to second, and then you get in the pickle, and you're just like, oh,
well, have you played the show at all? The newer shows?
I think the last one I played was 2017.
So they have like you can have they have Road to the Show now where you
I've played that, yeah.
So it's an actual game mode. You basically assume the role of your player in a game. So, you know, you bat when you bat, and then
you're on
there's
base
a running
when you're
interface.
On base. Yeah.
And the running is done with the shoulder buttons.
Oh.
Yes. So, like, you lead with the shoulder buttons. Like, you can take a lead, and then, like, you have to hit the other one to get back if there's a pickoff. Or you can go. And then, like, it follows... The way the camera follows you, you have no idea whether the frickin' ball's getting ready to be thrown in. So you're rounding second, it's like just third. And then here you see the guy, like, saddle the bag to catch the ball, and it's like, slide. And then, you know... It's a shit show, man. Road to the Show is great because you can also assume the role of a fielder. Like, it'll be behind you in the field, and you can, like, set that up. And we all remember that because it's like, you know, batting and...
I always did when I was in, like, the field, it would just simulate till the next time that a ball was coming my way.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't have to just sit there for these plays, like, or I would just pick a position where I was involved in a play, like, every time.
That was the downfall of Little League.
Well, yeah.
When they gave kids the ability to actually, like, fast forward to when they're actually involved in the game, all the kids were like, shit, why am I going to go out there and play this thing? Just sit here and don't have to, you know, wait.
So when you see kids just playing with their gloves in the dirt, there's video of me in Little League where I have my glove and I'm just, like, scooping up dirt with it because, like, no action was happening. And then that's when I started playing catcher.
When I was a coach, I literally had to give a kid a piggyback ride in the infield to get him to pay attention to the damn game. Like, dude, I mean, he was a T-ball, but...
Oh, dude, coaching T-ball was terrifying.
That's not coaching. That's volunteering.
It was not fun. Hi, Christy. But for a newer generation to pick up the N64,
it's gotta be a specific game, like, or set of games.
So,
like Diddy Kong Racing, no.
It's definitely more advanced for a smaller child to pick up. Like, I've tried to get my daughter, who is 4, to play some. Like, she's shown interest in playing some N64 stuff, but it's definitely way more complex and more like you have to be more accurate with your joystick and moving around and steering if you're playing like racing and like the camera angles for like Mario 64. Like it's definitely more complex in like pick up and play from a like small child's perspective.
Well, like Mario 64 was the first Mario, obviously, that was open world, where you were just like, okay, we're going to drop you into this place and you can go figure out what the hell everything does.
Yeah.
I think it's a great game. I don't find it very engaging right off the bat. Like, it doesn't grab you initially because there is no direction. It's just like, okay, it's kind of explorative.
Well, I mean, you start outside of Princess Peach's castle, and then you go in, and then you have like the star doors that have like the numbers on them, or they have a singular star.
Dude, what are you talking about? It's Bowser's castle.
No, it's Peach's castle.
It's not Peach's castle anymore. It's Bowser's. He took Peach.
Well, yeah, I guess, but
it's Bowser's now.
I guess, but it's
120 levels.
It's not 120. It's 120 stars, isn't it? I don't think it's 120 levels. It's like
I thought there were 6 stars per level, and there were 120. Maybe it's less
more.
than that.
There's more than 6 stars per level.
I don't know. I feel like
I'm pretty sure. It's been a long time since I've actually like sat down and played Mario 64.
There's 6 stars per level.
I feel like there's more.
Because you have the one for the red coins. There's 8 red coins everywhere.
You have the hidden one, and like it's always in like a weird spot to pick it up.
It's in that goofy spot. Then you have one that's
you have to race the Koopa. Then
that's
you have
only
like
on the one.
I thought they had more than.
I mean, there's a couple. So
there
are a few levels
where you have
to
race
the Koopa, but
there's one where you collect the little penguin. Then bring it back to his mom. Then racing the penguin.
Well, like you started, and like in later levels, you started to get into that weird thing where like you had the desert level where you went down into the pyramid and you had to like do this puzzle to find the.
Then
stuff.
Then there was like the objective ones where like you freed the chain chomp, so you would go through the gate.
That was the first level.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, where you have to pound on the post.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert for those of you who haven't played it.
Don't
get chomped.
Like, Mario 64, like I think it's
it takes time to get into.
You have to be a little bit older to understand like what's going on. You can't just be a kid roaming around and like figuring it out. Like you can, but it's going to be much less fun for you. Then you have GoldenEye, which is a pretty easy pick up and just point shoot thing, but again, I feel like you have to be a little more advanced.
GoldenEye's better if you watch the movie first. I will say that. I mean, we covered this in depth, so this game.
Yeah, we did. Believe it or not, we did a full episode on GoldenEye when we first started. So if you want to watch that, maybe I'll put the little card thing like somewhere here in the edit after this is done being live and I post the segment. But you have a lot of games for the N64 that released that are just like the first of their kind and just are absolute banger games. Like, again, Mario 64, GoldenEye, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark, Mario Kart 64, Wave Race 64.
Stop. Those two are good to start with. Like, Mario Kart 64 will grab you right off the bat because it's racing.
Yes, but it's a little bit, like, when you're going into a racing game, like, it's a little more complex of, like, using the stick to steer and being accurate in your steers and not just like going the wrong way or bumping into walls and just not like you have to be a little bit older. So for like a teenager or a young teen who is growing up on whatever to go back and play these older games if they have a Switch, especially because if you have the membership, you can play some of these classics on your Switch.
Well, if you play this on a Switch, I don't know.
I mean, everything's better on like the original,
It's
but
not meant to be played on a damn Switch. I'm about to have a moment.
But you've got Wave Race 64, Star Fox 64, the WWF games, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Snap, the Mario parties. You have Super Smash Brothers, Donkey Kong 64, Diddy Kong Racing, Turok. Like
that one. That is the perfect game to start any young child on. Dinosaurs and a hunting knife and a bow.
I mean,
Turok was one of my favorites. You missed a big one on this list, though.
Really?
Yep.
Which one?
Shadows of the Empire.
Oh, yeah, I guess I did miss the Star Wars games. Pod Racer, Rogue Squadron.
Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire, yeah. The WCW NWO games as well. Those were fun classics.
No Mercy, man.
What?
No Mercy.
Yeah. WrestleMania 2000.
Only one worth getting. Oh, Clay Fighter? Sculptor's Cut?
Mediocre.
Not worth a grant. Wow. What a hole.
I don't think there's going to be a kid just going and picking up Sculptor's Cut.
I did that!
Back in the day.
Yeah, because there's a real angry fucking snowman on it.
They're not going to be picking it up now.
They should. Well, if they were able to find it.
And afford it.
Oh, yeah, I mean. Well, you can get, what is it, 3.5? Like version 3.5 or whatever they call it. There's another one that isn't, like, crazy.
I think
it's everything except for 8 characters. Or, like, 8 or 4 characters. They just added characters to Sculptor's Cut.
I don't remember.
I don't know. It's Clay Fighter. Go get it.
But for the N64, I think
Donkey Kong requires an expansion pack.
Oh yeah, well,
that was
what
bullshit.
other game required?
I forget what the other one was, but that's bullshit. You know what? If they were like, "Oh, we need more memory," dude, that's like freaking selling a computer game and telling everybody they have to go out and buy a stick of RAM. That's literally what that is.
Yeah.
And the worst part is they planned for that shit because they put a port there for it.
Yes, they did.
Fuck you, Nintendo.
Now, here's... So, I'm going to be... I've never owned an N64 that didn't just already have the expansion pack in there. So...
You want one?
I want to know what was in that slot if the expansion pack wasn't in there.
Fucking nothing. Nothing. It was a little fucking cover that sat there and taunted you. Like I didn't care because I didn't need it for the games that I wanted to play. I don't think it makes any of the games any better.
I don't think so, no.
I think it's only accessed for the 2 games that do need it.
The thing that I hate that I completely forgot about, if I'm being honest, is having a memory card to save your game.
You didn't have to.
Some games you don't have to, but WrestleMania
the memory
and
pack?
stuff, you have to have it.
Yeah, that goes in the controller.
And I think NFL Blitz also. Oh, God, that game on an N64 is...
But they did do right by this. Here's the part that sucks, though. You couldn't save your game, but if you had a Rumble pack, that was the introduction to vibration in controllers.
Yeah.
And they capitalized on it by making it an accessory.
And you also had the password system, too.
What?
Some games would have, like, the password system for, like, their cheats.
Like
Like NFL Blitz, you have, if you get the right combination of things, it would give you, like, all permanent turbo or...
Up, down, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, right.
like a bunch of different things you could put in for cheats. I think if you're jumping into the N64,
Get a Game Genie.
oh, the Game Genie, I think they were. It wasn't Game Genie for the N64. It was Game Shark.
They didn't have both?
I don't think they had a Game Genie for the N64.
I don't know.
I think it was just Game Shark.
I have a Game Genie for Super Nintendo. I mean, it's no good to us. We don't have the codes, but
We got the internet.
you think that's out there?
100%, 1,000% that's out there.
We're gonna play. We're gonna play Zombies Ate My Neighbors with Game Genie on.
We can play a lot of stuff with Game Genie on, dude. I love.
It's broken though.
Oh,
Because they made like the little front flap that clipped into the lock slot on the game. And one day I was walking out of the living room and had the controller in my hand, and the whole Nintendo kind of came with me.
well, that's depressing. I think if you're gonna if like a kid's gonna get into the N64, I think being a little bit older is gonna be more beneficial than, you know, if you're looking at the NES and Super NES, like they're so basic that, well, a lot of it is basic to where they can still have fun without knowing what they're doing. But with the N64, I think it's a little more advanced, so being able to like read and understand and like know, kind of like read the signs of like, you know, what you're supposed to do, or
And what?
in the N64 games just in general, like it would benefit to be a little bit older, because I mean when we played the N64 we were probably
How do I say this nicely? I mean, I was 7.
yeah, probably.
N64 was the first console where you actually had to have a fucking brain.
Well, as
It's true.
as games have progressed,
It's true.
they've gotten more
Tell me I'm wrong.
complex.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, some games for other systems you had to have a brain for,
A little bit.
but some of them that you could just free roam and eventually figure it out. But
How
or
about
try it enough times and
How about this?
stuff.
Mario 64 is the foundation for Grand Theft Auto. Without the cars.
Could you imagine, like, people actually thinking that?
What if we adapted GTA 6 when it came out and redid all the graphics so it was Mario style?
I guarantee you there's somebody out there that's going to take like the new Grand Theft Auto and like demake it.
Mamma mia, you think that awesome piece of shit alright are gonna kill me?
I think the N64 is good. I do think the N64 is good. I think it is a very crucial console because it really did introduce some of like the best games of its time with Mario, GoldenEye, the Zeldas, any platformers that it did, the racing, it really did do like the best in terms of that. But I do think the age for entry is a little bit higher than the Super Nintendo and the NES.
Here's why I think the N64 may be the most important console across the history of consoles. At least in like the Nintendo line. If you look at the delta between each other generation, the way that everything shifted from Super Nintendo to N64 represents such a big expansion and like the just dedicated move towards what modern gaming is.
I can agree. Yeah, I mean, the N64 came out and kind of did exactly what you said, is like kind of set the tone for what gaming would become. it just turns out that I think, if in my honest opinion, one of if not the most important console of all time is probably the PlayStation 1.
Well, that's actually what I was just getting ready to say was, but there's no generation of PlayStation before that. Like there's
no,
I think there's no look back on that.
Well,
so there's no delta.
Well, PlayStation, Sony and Nintendo were actually supposed to come together during that Super Nintendo era and release a console together. But then they couldn't. They had a disagreement and couldn't figure out what they wanted to do.
This was it,
and they split. And Sony was working on their console. Then Nintendo released the N64, and Sony released the PS1,
which has proven to be.
But I think the PS1 came out shortly after the N64.
It was a bit after.
Because they ended up porting some PS1 games to the N64.
Yep. Here's proof that Sony.
Which some of them play well, some of them do not.
Here's proof that Sony did good by the PlayStation 1. We are nearly 20 years after its initial launch. The fucking controller hasn't really changed, and neither has the box. You still put a disc in a box.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I'm sure when we get to the PS1 and we talk about that, I mean, the
charm,
the games that it had are just
the small little reissue that I could put a screen on.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one to cover. I mean,
I gotta find that thing.
That one was definitely like foundational.
Siphon filter.
Whoo-wee.
Gabe Logan.
So to stay on the gaming industry and how it's evolved and
Bullocks,
how it's maybe devolved, has the gaming industry lost its creativity with oversaturation and the lack of new ideas?
I will challenge you with this. Is the problem that they have lost its creativity, or is the problem that the saturation of new ideas inherently makes creativity that much harder because you have that many more people coming up with good ideas?
So I think I'm going to shout out our buddies here from the PlayStation Collectors Podcast, because I watched the episode that they just put out at the time of us doing this with Mystic Ryan. They were talking about, just how crucial some of these consoles were and how just incredible these games were, and just how nothing really in modern times is holding up. And it's not like it was. You have this oversaturation of everybody wanting to put out the next live service game that becomes the live service game. You have so many people trying to put out these games that are just monetized.
So let's think of it this way. We're going to take a trip back in time on this one. Who invented the light bulb?
Thomas Edison.
Okay, Edison invented the light bulb, so he probably made the first light bulb, yeah?
I would assume.
Or
at least he had a hand in it.
Yeah, and he probably helped sell the first light bulbs.
Probably.
So over the past 110 years, how many different companies do you think are making light bulbs?
Probably a shit ton.
Right. So now let's apply that concept to gaming. If you see a game that's successful and it's making a lot of money and you want to make a lot of money, do you follow that model and then try to find ways to make it your own? How many different ways can you do a first-person shooter?
Not many.
Right. It's all going to boil down to the same mechanics, the same principles, with the only thing that you can tailor of that is the story and the backing content.
The characters, but also the gameplay mechanics do play a role in that. Like, I'm sure there are I'm not well read into gameplay mechanics of first-person shooters.
I'm pretty sure everybody's just running Unreal Engine and calling it a fucking day.
But I remember back when I was playing like these multiplayer games, when I was playing Halo 2. The jump from Halo 2 to Halo 3 was pretty big because then Halo 3 introduced, the bubble shield and all of those little power-ups that you get. So, like, that changed the way that you played Halo.
Well, yeah, because it was a new concept to the game.
And then for the jump from Halo 3 to Halo 4 is Halo 3, you had what that was, and then Halo 4, you had sprinting and the power-ups there, and then you had the DMR and some other weapons that were different. So, like, it's the same concept in the game, but it had different little mechanics that made it different.
Well, are they mechanics or are they features?
Well, I guess it's kind of the same.
Like mechanics, I think of the way that it moves.
Well, it changes the way that you have to think, in terms of if I'm shooting at this guy across the map, like if I shoot rockets at him, he's just going to throw up his bubble shield, and then I just wasted this and blah. Like it changes the way that you play the game.
So that's AI.
What?
What you're talking about is AI, the response that the enemy would have.
Well, if I'm playing multiplayer, it's a person.
Oh, you were talking about just figuratively what the best play would be.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's what these live service games are. It's multiplayer games.
But, like, when you talk about mechanics, I think of, like, the way that the character moves through the worlds, or the way that you can aim, like the handling of stuff like that.
Well,
like
it's
the
just
movement.
things that will affect the gameplay. And
right,
affect the outcome of the gameplay.
And to kind of, like, really support your case here, there are currently 52 games using Unreal Engine 5 for their movement engine.
Well, yeah.
So it's literally the
like
same
the main
foundation.
Yeah.
What the...
But it's not the thing that you make the game on. It's the things that you incorporate into the game that are going to make, because you have... I'm trying to think. Like,
I agree, but I think in terms of PlayStation 1 times, if you played Siphon Filter versus Metal Gear Solid, it felt like two different games. Like, they did not move the same. They had they both could go forward, backward, side to side, all that crap, strafing.
It was still like the stealth game.
Right, but they definitely moved different, and you had to kind of adapt to that nuance as you played through it and got accustomed to it. With this, it's like, okay, we'll just throw this library into every frickin' thing that needs a person to move, and suddenly I think you lose a little bit of that charm that's...
Well, I mean, you have, like, the gunplay and the responsiveness and the ADS, and then you have, like, the other, like, the balance of the weapons and, the frequency at which the power weapons spawn and the frequency that you can use the special techniques that your character has, whether it's a super jump, whether it's a jetpack, whether it's a super strafe, whether it's, a special melee weapon, like the cooldown period for all that stuff. Like, it's all of that sort of stuff. And, like, they have some FPSs that are, like, super fast-paced, where, like, you move super fast, that you have to have fast response time and this and that, and then you have these slower ones where you have to really think methodically, and you're like, okay, we've got rockets. Someone picked up rockets. All right, we have to keep in mind that it's a 5-minute timer until the next one spawns. So when keep a mental note of 5 minutes, so that way when that time's up, we're the ones that get them. And sniper rifles, they spawn every 10 minutes or, whatever. That, and, like, you're playing across the map, and you only have certain grenades, and there's spawn points for your grenades, and this and that. Like, and then with the BR, you have these 4-shot bursts that are, if they're headshots, you'll kill them, and this and that. Like, there's these slow, methodical gameplay FPSs, and then there's the fast-paced, just
Now,
quick thinking
real quick,
types of games.
out of all those details that you just told me, which one is going to make you buy that game?
I think it all depends on the style of game that you want, but again, you have to think of what's the popularity of the game. Say it's the next iteration of Halo.
That's a totally different thing.
But then you have there's so many FPS games though.
The bigger point that I'm trying to get at with this is many, many more people are involved in coding now. So they're going to work in the gaming industry and they're going to come up with ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people come up with similar ideas, whether they're they're one's in Maryland, one's in California, and they both come up with the same idea, and it's like, well, shit.
Well, yeah.
My biggest point is that it's the big picture of these games where everything is getting lost because there's not enough differentiation.
Well, the problem that we're having is everybody's just trying to monetize the game. It's like, how can we bleed our customers dry with microtransactions and battle passes and keep them playing for as long as humanly possible? And again, I think at some point that you can't monetize it anymore, because you're going to get to the point where it's people just don't want to play that game anymore, because all these people that used to play this game have now migrated to this game for some reason, because maybe it has a better esports support, or maybe it's just what people want to play.
Well, and that's indicative of a bigger problem in today's world, I think, as well. Outside of Apple, name one company that isn't trying to just get rich quick.
That's the other thing too, is you have these development studios who have shareholders. Shareholders, what the fuck do they want to do? They want to make money. So they don't give a shit about giving the player the best experience.
Well, most of the
They just want the player to spend all of their money on their product.
Sure, but most of the shareholders typically don't really get that involved in
No, but they
product.
just look at them and they're like, make us money.
Well, yeah.
And when the people are like, well, how do we make these shareholders money? Well, we have to have as many things for people to purchase as humanly possible, which means we have to structure our game in a way that gives you just enough to get you on the hook, but not enough to make you not want to buy. So, I want you to play the game and get invested in the game, but I want you to be forced, or want you to feel like if you're spending your money on this game that you're getting an advantage, or you're looking cooler than the other people, or
residual income.
Yeah.
No, I get it. It's residual income. The first to do it was the insurance industry,
which is what I think is hurting the gaming industry the most, is even single player games that should be just single player experiences and nothing else. They are still trying to incorporate the monetization into these single player games just for people who enjoy those games, like Need for Speed Payback. I love the Need for Speed games. I've always played them. I've always liked and enjoyed playing those games. Payback was the first one where I got annoyed because they pushed these little loot boxes in the game, and they pushed it to enough to where it was at the bottom of your screen, and if you played enough, you would get these things, or you can buy them and it helps you advance faster and this and that, or it gets you a cooler skin for your car or different modifications for your car, and it's just why? What do I need this for? Why are you pushing this so hard on me to buy these microtransactions in a completely single player game for the most part? I mean, you can race other people online, but still,
to embellish the game.
Hello, Mama Mel's. How's it going? Thanks for joining us here.
So, like, think of it this way. In software, and actually it is a bigger thing because it is really a software thing, not just a game thing. Because there's other software out there other than games.
Well, yeah.
Software, when you think of, like, Nintendo 64 specifically, you had a defined scope in mind for this game. Like, you had your ideas, you had the features, you had everything planned out, you had the storyboard, you knew where you were going to build it, and then once you delivered it, i.e. printed it to cartridge, that was it.
Yes.
It was complete, it was done. Today's world, you fast forward, software is a living, breathing thing where it starts small and expands and expands and expands until it kind of, comes to like a point where you can say, okay, this is mature, and it gets released. And then you continue to expand and expand and expand and start, rapidly including new content because you don't have to print it to cart anymore or print it to disk. You can continuously deliver it, like in the case of Fortnite or Call of Duty or really anything on a modern console.
Yeah.
And then it's like, how do we continue to do this never-ending life cycle of development?
So that's a completely different way that, like, that's a more acceptable way. That was weird. That's never happened before. All right, can you hear us now?
That's God telling you to shut the fuck up.
Well. All right.
Is there sound now?
Confirm that you can hear us now.
Or do I need to go ask Lance?
You're back. Perfect. What was the last thing you heard us say?
Where were we? We should probably just get off that topic.
Well, what were we? What were you saying there?
My point was that software as a service is an indefinite loop where people are always going to be paying until they just get tired of it.
So
but it's needed to have that continuous delivery. Like, you can't continuously develop and just go on this game if people aren't paying.
No, but that's not, like, you shouldn't be worried about that. You should be worried about your game being something that people want to play and keep playing.
Correct. But
that's something where it's going to, be an incredible story and something that you could also play with your friends, and where it's something that also you can enjoy multiple times versus just playing it one time and being like, well, that's it.
In 1996, a video game was a product. Today, it's a service.
Yes, and that's the problem.
Yes.
I think, because everybody wants to have the next big thing, and they're just trying to have the next big thing, which in turn is a problem.
If you wind up with too many products, you can always clean them out one day. If you wind up with too many services...
But it takes... the thing about it is, I feel the issue with... You have to allocate money and support to work on your live service games. And then you have to have money and stuff going into your massive, single player, AAA titles. So, I believe that live service has a place in the gaming industry. For sure it does. But I think that it should stop being everybody's focus and let the people that are succeeding in the live service realm, let them do what they're going to do, because you're never going to make another Fortnite.
So those game developers in both those situations look like the same person, right? They have the same skills.
I mean,
to produce both games.
Basically, yes.
Whichever.
Yeah.
So if you as a developer are sitting there saying, who do I want to work for? Are you going to pick the company that's developing a game, that's going to release it and make money for a finite amount of time and be able to pay your paycheck for the next 6 years? or are you going to pick the company that's going to offer you commissions, that's going to offer you, that's like making money continuously with no end in sight and allows you to explore new ideas?
So it depends on who I am as a person and my goals in working in the gaming industry. Because if I want to just make as much money as humanly possible, yeah, I'm going to go with the people that are making these live service bangers. But if I want to really put my mark on the industry and become this, make a name for myself, and like, that guy makes absolute hits, I love his stuff, and he has made something that has really just made me play a game that I just can't even fathom. You know what I mean? Like, and to make something, you know, like Guerrilla Games when they did Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, that was a new IP. That was a complete gamble. Like, either some people are going to love it or people are going to hate it.
So I'm going to make a crazy point quick.
And it was a game that did super well.
Yeah,
because it was a unique idea. The story was absolutely incredible. The gameplay was incredible.
Out of everything,
and it had a character that you could attach yourself to and like just relate to and follow and.
Well, and that's the story. That's like
exactly
that's the root of this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Out of all the games that you've played over the years,
mm-hmm.
name one developer.
Well, I mean, you've got Capcom for.
Nope, that's not a developer. That's a development company.
Well, yes, but I mean, that's not my.
I can't either. I can't either.
That's not how I play games.
Here's my point. Not a single person can name a person that worked on those games.
But I also haven't played any of these like just absolute banger, incredible, super popular games that are just like monuments in their own right. Like,
the point that I'm making is that nobody gives a shit. Like nobody working in it gives a shit about the novelty on it.
I don't think that's true. I mean, I think in the world that we live in now with games and developers and people working on games, if you're making games like God of War and Bloodborne and Final Fantasy 16 and Baldur's Gate 3 and The Witcher, like, people that have played those games and put them in such high regard, they look into, like, it's easy to find who the developer was, who worked on these games, who was responsible for writing the story, who was responsible for voicing these characters that we love, and games, and then games like
the voice actors. That's a totally different thing.
Yes, but they have awards now, like for the Game Awards, for like the development teams on these games, and the main people who worked on like a lot of this stuff, and like who were at the forefront of just like everything. So I think it goes a little deeper than, you know, what you see versus what the general people see in terms of the people that are actually like playing these games and like being moved by these games.
Maybe.
I think it's a little deeper than you think it goes. But I think like that the gaming industry is in deep trouble right now because there's like a lot of people are focused on, you know, these live service games, monetization, blah, blah, blah. But you have these outliers, and also you have indie companies that are making these incredible games. Like, you have so many indie games that are hits right off the bat because it's just what these developers used to be in their infancy of, we want to make this game and we want to spread this message and we want to spread this story and share these characters and, you know, this and that. Like, that's what indie developers are doing now, is creating games that we used to enjoy, or like we used to enjoy, where we have characters that we can relate to and we can attach to and we can learn about and a story that we can relate to and we can dive into, and this lore that is never ending, and you can do all of this stuff. Like,
I love it when we get into an argument and we're literally both saying the same damn thing, but you don't get what I'm trying to point out. So you're just like, no. And I'm like, yes, that's right. Yeah, the game industry's screwed, man. I mean, it's money.
it literally just makes everything worse.
Solomon's gold.
It makes everything worse. When the main focus is money, it just makes things worse. Which we're gonna roll into right now, baby. It kind of makes sense.
What?
We're gonna talk about why sitcoms.
You put Letterkenny on that list? You asshole!
Why?
That's an amazing show.
I know.
Read the question.
Those aren't the ones that are bad. Get the fuck. How do you think any of those are bad? Come on now. Well, one
Home
of them.
Improvement. I mean,
whoa. Easy.
It had its time.
So, why are sitcoms bad now? Like, newer sitcoms aren't like. I feel like they fall into the trap of like the woke culture where they're trying to push like certain things. But back in the day, man, sitcoms were just on another level. Like, they're so easy to watch. They're like, even if you're just putting it on in the background, it's still like you still find yourself like honing in on what's going on.
I mean, Letterkenny is not something I'm putting on in the background for the family, but
Letterkenny is something that you can like. I've tried to put Letterkenny on in the background, but it's not something you can put on the background because you actually have to pay attention to what's going on to get the comedy. Because it's so fast. Like, it's so quick-witted, and like you have to listen to what they're saying to pick up on it.
Oh, you want to have a Donnybrook?
Dude, I love that show.
Do you remember the scene where what's his name in the red shirt? Shit, I forget his damn name.
The big guy.
The main character.
Oh, Wayne.
Wayne. He's like, "How are you now?" And then like he's like talking to this one girl, and then this girl walks up and is like, "Wayne, yeah, I want you back." Oh. And his phone rings. He picks it up. Wayne, yeah, I'm pregnant. Oh, fuck.
I love the preacher in that show.
Oh, like, God.
Dude, I love when he's... Did you see the episode where they have the talent show?
Yep. I don't know if you want to touch that.
And he sings the song. He's like, I want to be close to God and Wayne. And they're like, did he just say... They're like, did he just say Wayne? And they're like, I think he did. And he's like, I want to be close to Christ and Wayne. And they're like, he did just say Wayne. And he's always hitting on Wayne.
And you've got the Amish guy who just says that shit that's just like,
the I need a dick and the Dick family. yeah.
Dude, some of the shit he was saying in the one skit was like, woo!
Oh my God, dude. It's so, like, if you like comedy, but you like the comedy that you have to actually, like, catch it when it happens, Letterkenny is just right up your alley, dude. It's
total deadpan. I love it.
Yes, it is. Like, it's not the stuff that you hear and instantly laugh at. It's the stuff that you hear and you're like, wait, what? Like, you have to catch it to laugh at it. And Shoresy, did you ever watch Shoresy? That is another show that is just so. I love when they're like, they say something. They're like, "Fuck you, Shorzy," and he's like, "For what?
For what?"
And then he he has those moments where he just breaks down and cries.
Well, like the freaking soft opening for Letterkenny is like those guys coming up to fight.
Yeah, dude, the episode where they're doing stuff in the field and they're talking about Stuart, and they're like, "Yeah," they're like, "Did you ever see Stuart's horn?" And they're like, "What was it like?" And he's like, "Well, it was like a tennis ball tube." And they're like, "A tennis ball tube? 3 balls or 2 balls?" And he's like, and they just
I didn't
go
know
all,
if you were gonna say it.
it's so like they just have all of these like elaborate ways to describe like the size of his wiener, and it's the funniest shit, dude. It's the most like just deadpan, just straight-faced comedy where you have to pick up on it to find it funny. If you just watch it and you don't like that kind of comedy, it's not gonna be fun for you at all.
Parks and Rec, the best line ever. Everybody loves a comeback story. Kim Kardashian? Kim Kardashian, she got cum on her back in the video.
Dude, Parks and Rec is one of those shows that I could
You missed the
watch.
fucking Office.
I hate.
That doesn't mean you leave it off the
Office.
list. This isn't the fucking LJ show.
I hate The Office. I hate it so much. But, dude, like to even go back to like the classics, like Family Matters, dude. Steve Urkel.
And I do that.
Dude, that is one of those shows that you like. Carl Weathers is just like
Carl Winslow.
Carl Winslow. Yeah, Carl Weathers was
I'm gonna kill
Chubbs.
you. Yes.
Yeah, Carl Winslow, dude. Like they had those shows where it was comedy, it was silly, but then they had these messages that just like these episodes, like when
They were grounded in morality. Yeah.
when Carl's son, I forget his name, he was like out drinking or messing up or something, and his dad found out, and like he had that stern talk to his son, like, dude, don't be a fuck up, straighten yourself up, get your shit together, and let's come at this like a man. And like it had that. You always just take it there, don't you?
I didn't take it anywhere. You took it there, and I was like, oh, we're still talking about Kim Kardashian.
And like Home Improvement even had those moments. Like, I mean,
that's the defining difference between the old stuff and the new stuff.
yes, like
The new stuff's just like, fuck it.
Home Improvement, dude. Like Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Like you have these characters that are just like that is the show.
Stop, Wilson.
I mean, like, Roseanne, dude. Roseanne is on another level. Great. Her and Dan in that show. I love the. This is such a cliche sitcom, but when I'm on vacation, I browse through the guide, dude. We're gonna get to that here in a second. Roseanne, dude, like the best when like it defines their relationship in the show is when Roseanne sees the flowers on the table and she's like, "Did you get these for me, Dan?" And he like gives that little smirk like, "No, I didn't," or something like that, and she like says something back to him that's like they're like digging at each other but in like the most loving way. It's such an easy watch. I love that show. It's one of those shows that if it's on, like, just leave it on. I'm gonna watch it. Then you have like the Jeffersons.
Oh, moving on up
to the east side. Like
to that deluxe apartment.
In the sky. The theme song. The theme song is such an iconic theme song. And was this Was this the show?
You do realize Dan used to beat the shit out of Roseanne, right? Do you really want to say that in the fucking chat?
Damn. Was the Jeffersons the one that had... What you talking about, Willis? Was that the Jeffersons?
No.
No?
No, yeah. No, George Jefferson
said that, yeah.
Somebody else said that, though. Wheezy!
George Jefferson was the best.
You know he originated on All in the Family.
Yeah.
With Archie Bunker.
Mm-hmm.
Eat it! Eat it! Scratch my back! Ugh. I can't do an Archie Bunker voice.
Then you have another classic, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like, that was another show that just had those characters that you could just attach yourself to. Like, Will Smith's, you know, and then Phil and Carlton. Like...
Carlton.
But then you had those teaching moments, like when Will's dad came back and wanted him and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, shit. Oh, I can't. Colin, I miss you.
When you had Will Smith's dad come back and then he left again, and then Phil, you know, said, like, look, man, I saw it coming. But, you know, you always have, you know, a home here. Like, I'll always be here for you, and I'm not going anywhere. And, like, those moments that were just, like, the teaching moments of, like, real things that happen in life that are, like, things that you need to, like, know.
Ted Lasso.
Then Friends. Again, Friends is... and you can't not watch Friends. I've watched Friends, like, 1,000 times over, and it's... I mean... Every character has their own, like, unique, like, things that they say. Like, you have Phoebe just being the crazy, outlandish weirdo. You have Chandler, who's always cracking a joke. You have Joey, who's just, like, the dumb guy. Who's, like, the ladies' man. Yeah, the pivot! Pivot! Ross, who's just like like there's so many like moments in that show, like when Chandler and Joey have the matching recliners that they have in their apartment and they make the entertainment center. I think Joey locks himself in the entertainment center.
Was It's Always Sunny the one that did the trip to the water park?
Probably.
With the AIDS blood?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Rest in peace to Matthew Perry. Like,
it's fucking AIDS blood.
I haven't watched that show since Matthew Perry passed away. So like that, I feel like that's gonna be a weird thing when I watch that show again. It was like, shit.
Well, try watching the Andy Taylor show.
The Andy Taylor?
No, the Andy Griffith show.
Oh. Well.
See if it's a similar feeling.
Not really, but...
Because I'm pretty sure Don Knotts is gone now, too.
I mean, Always Sunny in Philadelphia that's always a safe bet to throw on. Like, dude, that show is just one of those, like, did that really just happen? Are they really, like Danny DeVito and Charlie Day are just, like... When what's his face gets fat and then gets shredded. Dude, that show is so fun. Malcolm in the Middle, that's a classic. Just throw it on and watch it. Like, you can always watch that show. You can never.
Nope. Frankie Muniz. I'm good.
Louis, have
Fuck
you ever watched Louis?
I haven't heard of it.
Dude, you would enjoy Louis. It's Louis C.K.
Oh.
Do you like Louis C.K. as a comedian?
He's all right.
Dude.
I like Jimmy Carr.
His show that he did, they used the Louis.
Yeah, I'm turning that off quick. How I Met Your Mother.
Well, that's where I'm getting at. So like the newer sitcoms like Big Bang Theory, like that's a show that's it has that old sitcom feel of like the friends that go back and forth, and you have the weird character in Sheldon, and
Young Sheldon.
That show is terrible. Young Sheldon. But like you have Sheldon, you have
You just finished You Met My Mom Again. What? That's disgusting.
then you have How I Met Your Mother. That show is fantastic. But like Barney Stinson, dude.
Oh.
Like that dude is
You're that girl.
legend. Wait for it. Derry. And it's funny because like he's such a like ladies man like in that show,
But not.
But
he's not a ladies man. He's a womanizer. Like he's far from a ladies man.
Dude, like, his one-liners in that show are just so great. Ted and I forget Jason. What's his name's character? I forget his name. Then you have like we were just talking about Letterkenny, and like Always Sunny is kind of like a newer-ish, and Parks and Rec is like a new-ish manho, yeah. So like they're still around and they're still doing those type of things, but something about like Marshall, that's it. Marshall and Lily. They like these sitcoms. What are you pulling up?
It's not copyright.
What is it?
A couple hockey players come up the produce stand the other day.
Can't believe your sister's still dating these nuts.
Wayne,
How are you now?
good and you?
Not so bad.
Hey, Katie.
Go home, Daryl.
Nice onesie. Is it coming, man?
I think you better come say it to his face, you fucking hicks.
Nice you.
I love that they have like the
She was a sweetie for what, 5 years, right?
Oh, you're high school sweetie, right? Once it to you. Cheat on you, buddy.
That's a real kick in the knackers, bro.
Just a real ouchie, bro.
It's too bad she taught you not to fight.
to have to memorize those lines, to be so quick on it too.
Maybe if you'd ever been in a real fight, you might not be so keen for another.
What'd you say?
You heard me.
Almost better.
Hold my spitter.
You looking for a tilly, buddy? Let's have it, Tony. Take your shirt off and leave your sunglasses on.
What sort of backwards fucking pageantry is that?
Hold it up to the mic a little bit.
Hold my spitter. Dude, I can't hold your spitter. You hold my spitter. Just put the spitters down.
TikTok. Go time! Go time!
Look at that fucking treasure trail.
What's up with your fucking body hair, Big Shoots? You look like a 12-year-old Dutch girl. Your aesthetician coiffed that for you?
You can kiss my aesthetician. You guys do CrossFit?
You can cross fuck off.
Cross-part. How many times you pulled your horn today, bud?
What?
Oh, she's bashful.
Oh, come on, kitten. I won't tell anyone. Park 6 to 8, you're a fucking animal.
Play a little 5-on-1.
Hit the kitchen, mix a bat.
Feed the ducks.
Distribute some free literature.
Go time! Fucking shut him!
Riley, Jonesy, put your fucking shirts on and get out of here.
This isn't over!
Jenks, you owe me a Coke.
Never buy you a Coke.
Yeah, like that, dude. That
What
show.
sort of backwards fucking pageantry is that?
Dude, that show is. It's one of my favorites to watch. Like, it's.
Pitter patter, let's get at her. Did we ever check to see if the Phantom Power was on?
It's not. I turned it off.
Oh, good. Was it on?
It was, yes.
How about that?
That's probably why our audio was just so bad the last time, because we had the Phantom Power on.
Ooh, fuck.
Yeah, Letterkenny is definitely one of those like, how do they memorize all of those lines and just back and forth, boom, 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 boom. Like when they listed off the WWF.
You read your fucking lines right before you shoot the scene.
Well, yes, but like there's so much in there.
That's not a lot.
The WWF one where they're like they're doing something I can't remember, and they're just listing off a bunch of wrestlers, but they're including the name, like the thing, into like the. I don't. It's.
Oh my god!
If you don't like deadpan comedy and just like very
do you like Wednesday?
Straight-faced comedy, it's definitely not for you. It's one of those shows where you have to watch it and just have that sense of humor.
And have you ever been in a play?
Have I been in a play?
Yeah.
No.
You memorize fucking 3 hours of lines ahead of time. Like, it's wild.
It's definitely I think it's an acquired taste because it does have like an overall like kind of story to it. The deeper you get into it, it does have like the story like Andy's, oh my god, I literally heard his eyes roll. It is one of those shows where like if you watch it, like you do get a little bit of a story, like with him and that girl, and then she ends up going back to the hockey, like the hockey player, like the D-Gen guy or whatever, and then he gets back with so and so, and then blah 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 happens, and then Katie.
Why don't you cough that hoppy trail?
When they're talking about Valentine's Day, and Daryl says it's Valentine's Day.
Oh my god!
And like, he's like Valentine's, and they're like, "What the fuck did you just say?" I think it's definitely an acquired taste.
Deadpan or Letterkenny?
Letterkenny.
Letterkenny's an acquired taste. Deadpan is something that you either like or you don't.
Like every time, dude. Me and Colin, when we'd be working on the lot, we'd just be like on the other ends of the cars. We couldn't even see each other, and I'd be like, "Stuart," from the fucking guy.
Deadpan is like me on meetings at work.
Yeah, it's like you have to catch the joke, or you have to catch you have to listen to it.
It's emotionless
you have
delivery.
to be paying attention to it at all times.
It's emotionless delivery.
Yes.
It's very frequently rooted in sarcasm and making the other person feel like they simply are fucking stupid.
Yeah. And like I feel like I can hear you and Colin saying that. Yeah, and we'd also do like the wine.
Oh god.
Yeah, like it's also like parts of that show, like as you're watching it, you're just like, what the fuck is what is going on here?
Yes.
The best episode is that episode. It's like, give me a YEW, because they're looking at Daryl Sweetie on Instagram, and everybody says you. It's such a good show. Just fucking watch it.
Watch it.
Shoresy's a good one as well. That's like a sequel to Letterkenny. Andy, you're gonna leave me?
Oh, fuck my knees. Whoa. Oh, shit. Diablo's down. I'm not picking that up.
Oh, you are a big, giant piece of shit. Get out of here.
Big old handful.
Get fucking out of here. I'm all alone. What? What do you mean? What do you mean it's empty? We gotta move that couch over. Probably Friday. Yes, we are playing golf on Friday, but we also will be.
I'm not straining my back
It'll probably be after we play golf. I mean, we can. Certainly. Oh, I hate this man. Well, I guess we pre and I don't know if I can do this by myself. I can't do this on my own. And I don't think my wife put our child to bed yet. And she has to go into work for the first time since vacation. So it wouldn't surprise me if she is zonking out right now. Or will be zonking out here soon. But that, I mean, I think you've got this, LJ. You've done it the last 2 weeks. I have, but last week I was playing games, so that's a little bit different. And when I was talking about the Charlie and Sneeko situation, that was kind of easy to do on my own because I had a pretty deep topic to do. But with this, like, the whole point of the sitcom stuff, not only to remember just banger sitcoms that were just awesome. I think the sitcoms nowadays, like, you do have the ones that are like pretty good. I watched a couple. I mean, another big one we forgot to talk about was that 70s show. That was another banger. I don't know if Happy Days would be considered a sitcom, but I love that show. But with sitcoms now, it seems like they're trying to push the whole like wokeness part of everything, and like just they try too hard to make it funny, and it's just not. Like, these shows were so. The Ranch wasn't The Ranch wasn't really a sitcom. That was just a show. I wouldn't classify The Ranch as a sitcom. I mean, I guess it kind of has a little bit of a sitcom vibe to it, just with its. I mean, I don't know. Like, when I think of a sitcom, I think of like family / group of friends, and it's just kind of like a more episodic thing. Like, The Ranch had like a pretty big story that was happening on it. I actually really enjoyed that 90s show. I watched it's on season 2 now, I think, which I didn't watch, but I watched the first season. I actually really liked it. It was done well enough to where they gave you like the fan service from like that 70s show with Donna and Eric's kids, and like you saw Fez, you saw Kelso, you saw Red and Kitty. Like, you got that kind of fan service, but it wasn't like too much, and it had the same kind of feel as that 70s show, with like the group of friends getting into like mischief or whatever and stuff like that, but it wasn't trying to do what most like sitcoms nowadays are trying to do, and that's like, you know, the inclusion and covering like the hot topics and pushing like that kind of stuff. Like, the sitcoms from back in the day were teaching like real life lessons, like Family Matters and Home Improvement and Roseanne and like the Jeffersons, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like those kinds of shows. Like, they were silly when they wanted to be silly, they were serious when they wanted to be serious, and they had like this overall message of just like real family problems, real family like lessons and stuff to happen. So like it was always like nice. And I mean, there are people that literally learned life lessons from these shows. Like, they carry themselves through life based off of things that they saw in these like old sitcoms. So it just speaks I mean, and some of these shows are still Friends. That's still being shown on TV to this day. And same as Home Improvement. Like, that's still shown on TV. Big Bang Theory is still pretty relevant and being shown. People still talk about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah, if you want to come down and say hi to some people that are still here after you put her to bed, like, you're more than welcome to. Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think that show's still going. So, like, Parks and Rec, I think, is still... I think that's on streaming. And like, a lot of these are probably on streaming, but a lot of them are as big as they are and still held in high regard to this day, even for a younger audience. So I think it speaks to the sitcoms of the 80s, the 90s to the early 2000s versus the sitcoms that we have now. They're just like flavorless. They try too hard to be funny, and they just try and touch on all of these like topics that are brought up in the world today, and it's just not executed well, and it's just not good. The acting is just kind of meh. The characters are kind of meh. So I just thought it was a fun little topic to touch on. Tried to keep the podcast a little laid back tonight, since I'm still fresh off of vacation. And next week we will be doing a gaming stream again. Hopefully this time better setup. A little more streamlined and easier to set up. So we'll be playing some games next week, Wednesday. Vacation was good. I mean, it's always nice to take vacation. You're always going to have fun on vacation regardless, but we went to Ocean City, which I used to go to as a kid. She used to go to as a kid, but it's definitely not what it used to be, and it's kind of gone way downhill. The boardwalk is junky. The stores are just kind of the same, with nothing like relevant or fun to look into. Every 2 steps that you take is like you're walking into a weed shop. It's literally I don't care if you do it, but holy shit, man. Like, it was every couple of steps when you're just trying to walk with your family. So, like, come on now. The food is just so overpriced and expensive. Everything is is crazy expensive. So it was fun. Our hotel was an actual shithole. So that was fun. Yeah, like, if you were taking a day trip there, like, I think it would probably be better because you're just going for the beach and, like, a little bit walking on the boardwalk. But if you're going there for, like, a trip and spending a couple days there, it kind of loses its luster pretty quick. I mean, our daughter had fun, though, which that was the main point of the vacation. It was her last vacation as an only child. So that was pretty important to the wife to have her, have that little vacation to where we can just focus on her and her having fun. She liked playing on the beach. She liked she's a little fish, so she likes being in the water. She liked going to the pool at the hotel. We took her on the boardwalk, and we took her to, like, the arcade, and she got to play some games and win some tickets to get, like, the little knickknacks and stuff. So she had fun. Both days when we were at the beach, the minute we got back, she, like, zonked out for a nap. So she had a blast. I think we're going to plan on going to a campground that I used to go to as a kid called Frontier Town. I think we're gonna try and go there at some point with both kids, so that way they both have something to do, and it's more geared towards a lot of different activities they can do and enjoy, like the water park and different like craft things that they can do. There's so much stuff for them to do, just even at just the campground, and you don't have to spend a ton of money to do it. So I think that would be it's something we have to start to focus on now that we have 2 kids, is focus on what they can enjoy and what's going to be the most enjoyable thing for them versus what's going to be enjoyable for us. We have to find joy in letting them enjoy and have fun. When I was there as a kid, it was really nice. They have a huge water park that's free for any people that are staying at the park. They have a ton of things for kids to do. A ton of then you have free shows that go down every it's on a schedule, so you can go catch the cowboy shows and see all the people doing that. You have little restaurants that you can go to that are in there that are themed with the Western stuff. They had a thing where you were in a buggy, and they would hide a thing of gold under your seat, and they'd have someone rob the buggy and see if you gave up the gold, and if you could keep the gold, you could go pan for fool's gold and stuff, and you get a little vial thing that you can take home. Just little stuff that happens throughout the park. They have a rope, a big rope jungle gym type thing with zip lines. That's you can spend $40 and you get 3 hours of zip lines and rope stuff that you can climb and stuff. So there's a ton. They have a mini golf course that's there too. So there's just endless amounts of things you can do right in the campground that are pretty much free or very cheap to do each day that you're there. So you can, and then it's pretty close to beaches too. So you can go drive to the beach for the day and spend the day on the boardwalk, which is really the only thing that you need, is one day to go to the beach, walk the boardwalk, spend your time there, and then go back to the campground and chill and relax and wind down for the night. So we're going to look into just more kid-friendly vacation stuff, especially now that we're going to have 2 children to please and not just one. So it'll be vacations for them first, and kind of when they're napping or they're down for the night, that's when we can just kind of breathe, relax, and chill. So we're learning how to be parents. Yay! I think she just put the child down, so I think she's going to come down and say hi here for a little bit. Knoebels was cool. We went there when our daughter was 2, I think, and that was cool. We never camped there though. Here she comes. Here she comes to wreck the day.
Big Mama coming through.
Yeah, big Mama coming through.
Where do I look?
You don't have to look anywhere.
This is my first time, everybody.
You can talk a little louder than that.
This is my first time, everybody. Hello.
This is my wife.
My wife. This isn't my good side.
You gotta have the good side.
You know.
And this is our son's first appearance on here too.
This is, do we say the name?
You can if you want.
Bronson. Our daughter calls me Big Mama.
Yes, this is Bronson in there. He's very active. He likes to kick quite a bit.
Yep.
He will be here next month.
Yikes.
Here, pull that.
Cool.
There you go.
I don't want to be this close to something that was this close to Andy's mouth. No.
Gross.
Just kidding. Not. So what were we talking about?
We were talking about vacation. But
It was a struggle for B.
yeah, her being as pregnant as she is, it was.
The boardwalk was not my friend, and
Yeah, it
the
was-
tram being full constantly.
Yeah, walking the boardwalk. It's not what you want to be doing when you're 8 months pregnant.
No. I was like, well, he's coming this week. He's about to fall out. Hi, Christy.
Well, since we're talking about sitcoms, I guess we can take a few minutes here and throw in a little bonus. If you haven't heard of this show, you should stop what you're doing and binge the absolute shit out of it. It's called Your Honor.
I'm still...
It's on Netflix. It has Bryan Cranston, and
If you don't know who that is, Breaking Bad.
it was Walter. Yeah, if you don't know Bryan Cranston by name, he was Walter White in Breaking Bad. It's about, like, spoiler alert. I'll try and not spoil it, but it's about a judge who is. So it's about a judge who his son gets into an accident and freaks out, leaves the scene.
It's not spoiling because they say that in the description. about the
Okay.
hit and
Here,
run.
I'll just look up the description so I
Yes.
don't accidentally spoil
Christy,
something.
you definitely should try it out. If you saw it on there,
If
give it a
you
try.
saw it on there,
you'll be hooked the first
watch
episode.
it because it is I don't know how many people why people aren't talking more about it,
Yeah.
because it is insane.
It's been a while since we had a show that just grabbed us and we needed to continue and binge and can't wait to watch the next episode. It takes a lot for us to have a series like that. Like Breaking Bad was like that for us. Sons of Anarchy was like that for us.
There was a couple.
Weeds, I don't know.
When we first watched it, yeah. So the description for the show is: a respected judge's son is involved in a hit and run that leads to a high-stakes game of lies, deceit, and impossible choices. That's a pretty good description of what the show is, because it is it's one of those things where this decision creates all of these problems, and then another decision makes just as many problems, and it's just this spiral that keeps happening off of this one lie that is just it's
And there's
so,
a lot of unexpected twists in there too that
yeah, there's unexpected twists and turns, and you can really attach yourself to the characters too. They do a really good job at making you hate the people you're supposed to hate, love the people you're supposed to love, and then turn them and then make you hate them, and then make you love the villain for a little bit, and then turn you back to being fuck, I hate them again.
That's kind of how Sons of Anarchy was too.
with
Gemma, you loved and hated her at different points because, it just went back and forth with.
Yeah, it does the characters in that show, they do a very good job of making them likable, making them hateable, making you hate them even though you like them, being conflicted on whether you actually like them or you actually hate them. It's one of those shows where after each episode ends, you look at your watch and you're just I I can watch another episode before I go to bed. Like I'll push it. I'll go to bed just a little bit later so I can watch this episode. And then you watch the episode and you're just like, do I want to stretch it a little bit more? And then the deeper you get into the show,
when I don't fall asleep during an episode.
the deeper you go in the show, the more you find yourself like wanting to binge it. So like if you haven't heard of it or you haven't seen it, definitely give it a watch. It was such a good show. And I love the fact that it's a show that is like when it ends on they have it's 2 seasons. And it ends like on like the end of season 2. If it ended there, it would be perfectly fine. Do I want more? Of course, because it was that good of a show. But if they didn't continue, then I'd be okay with that.
Nah, I need more.
Well, you need more of everything. If it was up to you,
continuous everything.
If it was up to you, you'd be like, run it into the ground, baby.
Yes.
Give me season 25.
Exactly. I never want it to end. I get so sad.
Which is why I think you would really enjoy the Avengers movies and also all of the Star Wars movies and shows. I think I actually started watching it now that I looked it up. I saw the accident and then got caught up in something and never went. Go back to it.
Go back.
100%
and
go
give
back
us
to it.
an update on what you think.
Yes.
Because I want somebody else to like talk with it about. You
Yeah,
know?
give us an update. Watch it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be streaming games next week at the same time we started this podcast. So yeah,
You'll probably finish it by then if you start watching it.
Depending on how hard you binge it, you might finish it by then, or you might actually be a season in.
At least a season,
depending on your time frame that
Yeah.
you get to watch shows, and you definitely let us know what you think, because I get to the point in shows where I want to talk. Andy doesn't watch shows because he sucks, so I can't talk to him about shows, and I don't really have other
like
friends.
The same shows.
So
There's
the only
a few
the
that
only
we don't
people
like.
that I get to talk to about like shows and stuff are her.
Because that's my hobbies.
I understand life gets in the way. I know that all too well as I sit and look at this never-ending game shelf of games that I still have yet to play, some of them, and not a time in the world to play it. So I get life gets in the way sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
For
brutal.
sure.
But shows I think are a little easier to digest because you can watch them in like you can watch half an episode and resume it like the next day. Like it's a lot easier to watch a show versus playing a game, because if you sit down and you play a game and then you don't touch it for a few days, you come back to it and you're just like, I don't even remember what's going on anymore, and then you're off to the next. But with a show, like, you can watch it in little increments, and you can always find a way to watch a show. You can watch a show when you're cooking dinner. You can watch a show when you're rocking your child. You can watch a show while your child plays. You can watch a show
episode before bed.
You can watch an episode before bed. You can
That's
you can
normally
always
us. We normally do like an episode or two, like while we're eating dinner, or we suck at that. Watching shows and eating dinner. One day we'll sit at the table.
I feel it's like a pretty.
That's common.
It's a pretty normal.
Common. It's
normal
just nice because that's the time that you're forced to sit.
Yeah.
So
it's a forced sit down.
Yeah.
To watch stuff. So.
Yeah.
And it's forced. I can watch on my lunch break at work.
That's a good idea. I'm
gonna reveal a little secret that you probably shouldn't tell everybody, but I watch shows sometimes while I drive to work.
Thanks.
I've literally watched every single Star Wars movie multiple times while commuting to work. Like, I don't watch anything that, like, if I find myself like wanting to watch it more than
Oh, that's good.
than normal, then I'll turn it off because at that point I'm just like I can't watch this and drive at the same time. Like it has to be something that I can just have on like and listen to and understand what's going on and catch it here and there. I do commute quite a bit. My commute is usually about like an hour each way. So I do like
You watch people eat bowls of cereal while driving.
The shit I've seen on my commutes is I've seen people putting on makeup, eating cereal, trying to read the newspaper, watching their iPad while trying to send a text message. Like the shit that some people do on the, especially in Maryland, it's just next level ridiculous. And 83 is a shit show. But when you can make a commute like that, like I can't not listen or watch something.
Both.
I work in both. I work in PA and Maryland. Thank God I'm only in Maryland one day a week though. Sometimes two if it's busy enough, but mainly it's one, and then the rest I'm in Pennsylvania. But I still commute at least 45 minutes to an hour every day, every single day. So, and I've done that for what, like just shy of 10 years.
Yeah,
now.
about 9, I'd say. I think
next year it'll be 10 years.
Because it was probably a year before we got married, and we'll be married 10 years. So, right? You worked. No, you should I have not said that?
I can just cut it out later. It's not a big deal. I think I just had this conversation with my boss, and I think I'm just shy of 10 years. I think next year will be 10 years.
Okay.
Because I think I think I started like 2015.
So it was the year after.
It was the year after we got married, I think.
Because you worked.
Colin's back.
What's up, my brother?
She works in Maryland, but take back roads to the only traffic I hit. Sometimes I take the back roads if I know traffic is rough on my way back from Maryland, but
we took some nice back roads to the beach.
Oh yeah.
10 years.
10 years in and your work still looks like Andy's. Sometimes you gotta send it.
Susie Suds. That's just a little inside joke. We'll leave that for another day.
Man, that is quite the inside joke. I'll say that. Good God.
Yeah.
Good God. Yeah.
Burying the burner phones.
Oh my God. I got.
You always have that one coworker that's.
There was a guy that I worked with who didn't know how to delete the history on his phone. So what he would do is he would take his phone, put it in a shoebox, and bury it in the yard.
Instead of just
deleting the history off of his phone.
He was kicking around dirt in the back.
So his girlfriend or fiance or whatever she was at the time would literally just see him in the yard just kicking around dirt.
She was like, I wonder what he's hiding. Goes and finds a burner with good old videos on him.
Oh my God. What a...
That was an adventure.
Yeah, that was quite the... Well, didn't she sell panties on the internet?
Oh yeah.
And then guys would send care packages.
Yeah, and you got paint all over his
hoodie. And I got paint all over his hoodie that came from a dude that bought his fiance's panties.
Yes. Yep. Oh, nice hoodie. Where'd you get that? Oh, I got it from a dude from my fiance's panty selling. It must have been extra dirty if he got that.
Man, that was a time. That was a time.
Holds my brother hostage in the
Yeah.
in the car while he hit a parked car.
Hit a parked car and held her brother hostage, basically, just not answering phone calls.
Yeah, and we're like, are you gonna drive off a cliff or are you gonna get him home safe? We don't know. Answer the damn phone.
And that's
So
when
then,
her brother's
that's when he
phone
got
would die
fired. Oh, yeah.
all the time.
No, his phone didn't die, did it?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's his phone. Literally was always dead.
Well-
he never kept it charged, and it would always be dead.
Yep. You were the hostage. Yes, you were. With no charger. Yeah. Probably like, fuck. Yeah. So after that, he was a goner.
Yeah, he rightfully so got fired.
What's the word is there an S at the end of Jones, everybody?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was always dead. Was always dead because you, for some reason, would never charge it at night. You just never charged it at night ever for some reason. Because it'd be like 9 in the morning, and you'd come to work and be like, "Yeah, it's at like 15%." I'm like, "How?" You're like, "Oh, I just never charge it at night." I'm like, "Why?" So your phone would always die. Because you were the worst.
LJ's the worst.
No comment. No comment. What game should me and Andy stream next week?
Well, Andy likes different games than you, right?
Kind of. He said he wanted to play more Turtles. So maybe we'll play some more Ninja Turtles. But maybe I'll line something on the PS5 if I can actually get it to work.
I was going to say maybe Resident Evil, since that's one of your favorites.
It's one of my favorites.
Night-night, Colin.
Ouch. Watching The Bachelorette. Not something you want to admit in public as a man.
No. That's nice of him to watch it with Riley. It does get crazy sometimes. LJ, my mother-in-law, got me into The Bachelorette. When I didn't have the proper cable, I used to drive up to her house Monday nights to watch it with her.
Oh, yeah.
And Sister Wives. TLC is my guilty pleasure.
It's not a guilty pleasure at this point. It's
just full-on
it's
pleasure.
It's just what you're into.
It's just what I'm into.
You literally watch like all TLC shows.
Yep.
The
I
only
just watch.
non-TLC show that you watch
I watched The
is
Bachelorette.
The Bachelorette, The Bachelor, and
Don't call me out like that.
Teen Mom.
Well, that's a wrap. Canceled.
You watch a ridiculous amount of Teen Mom.
Well, it's just I just watched it from the beginning, so now I just need to. Just one of those things where I just have to know what happens. I just have to know what goes on in their lives because I'm one nosy bitch.
Well, that you are. You can't deny that. But we're all nosy to an extent. When you see some shit going down, you're just like peeking out the blinds, like, "Hello,
Yeah, that's awesome. Laying in the
what's
deck.
going on out there?"
Even our cats are nosy. They'll be looking out the windows too, like,
Yeah,
who the hell's that?
they'll be trying to watch Teen Mom from the beginning.
Good. Thank you. Christy is my new friend.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you just have to know, like, the drama, like, what goes on. Like, I don't really like many of the girls anymore, but the few I do, I just have to know.
Well, you follow all of them on social media, don't you?
Yeah, but I've always have, so it's just one of those things.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, Big Mama, guess you gotta get going to bed. You got work in the morning. So do
Yep.
I, but I don't
So
have to
sad.
leave till not. I don't have to wake up as early as you do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's been fun, guys.
Maybe she'll make another appearance at some point,
Maybe.
since Andy's always leaving me, like the cocksucker that he is. But next week we'll be playing some games. If you have any games that you want to see us play that I have, maybe I'll throw them in. And if you want to comment on something on Instagram or comment on something on YouTube and let us know, yeah, I'm sure Andy will leave again.
Probably.
Let us know what you want to see us play, and maybe we'll put it in the rotation. Since now we're gonna do like these like off week, like little gameplay sessions where we just chill. Everybody can talk, and school starts
Ooh,
next
yeah,
week.
that's true.
Oh,
Gotta get to bed early, kids.
yeah, that's gonna be an
an
interesting
adjustment,
thing.
yeah.
Because
That's early bedtime.
yeah, so we'll have to figure that out. But we'll figure that out then. That's.
Yeah.
But
Oh, Bronson's kicking. He says, "Peace out, homies. It's my time to come alive.
yeah, it's my
Mom's
time.
getting ready for bed.
time
My
to
time to shine, baby. Do my little tumbles."
Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming with us here. My son went to sleep at 3:30 a.m. this morning. Hot damn. I was the same way when I was a young kid playing games, though, so
Yeah.
I can't really speak much. Sometimes that still is me. I'm just not playing games. I'm just not falling asleep because I'm insomniac.
But I'm just passed out. 'Cause I'm just,
Yeah, you're just
I'm just-
snoring up a
yeah.
storm because you have a child growing in you.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming and joining us, Christy, especially you, because you're one of the real ones.
The
Always
MVPs.
tuning in.
Thanks to my brother for making an appearance.
Yeah, he's alright. Oh, the new Madden came out? I can't even keep track of that stuff. I do want to play that college football 25, but I don't want to pay full price for it, so I'm just going to wait for it to drop in price before I take the dive into that. But we'll be back next week for our live game stream, and we'll just hang out, chill, talk, come join. It'll be fun like it was last time. Was really fun. I enjoyed that. Everybody was in talking, having a good time. So hopefully the next one's the exact same way. Yeah, I definitely want to play the college football one, but $70 is just too much for me to just be like, oh yeah, because I like playing golf. So it's either game or play golf.
Yeah, pick your poison.
Yeah, maybe I'll,
too.
depending on how my nights turn out. If I hop on, I might stream a game that I'm playing just to do it,
For shits and gigs.
just for shits and giggles. So if you see me turn live, it'll be just me just playing a game. So we'll see.
Or you might see an appearance with our cat, Ellie. She's the gamer buddy. Basement
But
buddy.
have a great week and weekend as well, Christy. We will see you next time you come in.